The moment the professor announced the live predator demonstration, the room's atmosphere shifted from mild curiosity to electrified tension. Whispers rippled across the classroom like waves, punctuated by the occasional clicking, chirping, or hissing unique to each species. For the students of the Galactic Academy of Interstellar Studies, this was no ordinary lecture. A live predator, captured from the dense, uncharted jungles of Codex 4, would be brought in for observation and study. Few species dared interact with such creatures without the most sophisticated containment protocols, and even fewer would volunteer to share the same room with one. Yet here they all were, vibrating with nervous energy. Seated at the center of the amphitheater-style classroom was Liam Carter, the only human in the class. To his classmates, Liam was both an anomaly and an enigma. He hailed from Earth, the infamous Category 5 Deathworld, a planet where even the smallest creatures could be lethal, and survival required an almost pathological disregard for safety. To the other students, humans were simultaneously fascinating and terrifying. Liam, however, didn't seem to embody the terror they imagined. He slouched casually in his chair, arms crossed, a faint smirk playing at the edges of his lips. His relaxed demeanor only heightened their unease. "I heard humans can kill with just their hands," whispered Drexel, a lanky insectoid with multifaceted eyes that glimmered nervously. "Don't be absurd," hissed Ulixa, a crystalline species whose translucent body refracted light in shifting rainbows. "Their hands don't even have claws. Well, how do you think they survived a death world? Charm?" Drexel shot back, antennae twitching. Liam caught the exchange and let out a chuckle, which silenced the murmurs instantly. His classmates looked away quickly, avoiding his gaze. He leaned back, hands behind his head, and waited for the show to begin. The door hissed open, and Professor Zalker entered, flanked by 2 heavily armed security drones. Behind them, a containment pod hovered ominously, its surface glowing with blue containment fields that shimmered like liquid lightning. Inside the pod, a shadowy form moved, its movements slow and deliberate. The predator was here. "Ladies, gentle beings, and all others," Professor Zalker began, his voice a mix of authority and excitement. His 8 eyes scanned the room, ensuring every student was paying attention. "Today, you will witness a demonstration of predatory behavior unmatched in its ferocity and cunning. This creature is a quillhound from Codex 4, a planet known for its hostile environment and apex predators. The quillhound is capable of launching its venomous quills at high speeds and has enough bite force to crush ultra steel. Observe and learn, this is a rare opportunity." The pod lowered onto the platform at the front of the room, its containment field disengaging with a hiss. Slowly, the quillhound stepped out. It was a terrifying creature, its sleek, muscular body covered in black fur tipped with glowing red streaks. Sharp, venom-coated quills bristled along its spine, and its glowing yellow eyes scanned the room with predatory intelligence. A low growl emanated from its throat, reverberating in the bones of every student present. The class collectively recoiled, save for Liam. He sat forward slightly, his expression unreadable but not fearful. Professor Zalker continued. "The quillhound is one of the most efficient hunters in the galaxy. It relies on both speed and strategy to subdue prey. Notice the tension in its muscles, the way it assesses its surroundings. This is the epitome of evolution in a predatory species." Suddenly, the quillhound's gaze locked onto Liam. The room seemed to freeze. A murmur of concern spread through the students. Professor?" Ulixa raised a crystalline appendage. "Should it be looking at us like that?" "It's looking at him," Drexel corrected, pointing a trembling claw at Liam. Professor Zalker frowned but didn't seem overly concerned. "Predators often assess the strongest presence in the room first. It's an instinct to identify threats." "Strongest?" Drexel's mandibles clattered in disbelief. "He doesn't even have exoskeletal armor." Liam grinned, leaning back in his chair. "Guess it's just my natural charisma." The quillhound growled louder, its body lowering into a stalking position. The security drones adjusted their positions, their weapons humming with readiness. Despite the measures in place, the students were visibly terrified. Several edged toward the exits, their courage eroding rapidly. Professor Zalker held up a hand. Remain calm. The creature is secure. The demonstration will proceed without incident. Just as the words left his mouth, the quillhound moved. It was a blur of black and red, launching itself off the platform in a display of raw power and speed. Gasps and screams erupted as the predator bypassed the drones entirely, landing mere feet from Liam. Its glowing eyes bore into him, its quills rattling ominously. Activate containment! Zalker barked, but before the drones could react, Liam stood up. Wait, he said, his voice calm but firm. The simplicity of the command silenced the chaos. The students stared, frozen in a mix of horror and disbelief. Liam took a step toward the quillhound, his movements slow and deliberate. What is he doing? Drexel squeaked, his antennae trembling violently. Humans are insane, Yelixa whispered, her crystalline form dimming as though she were bracing for catastrophe. Liam ignored them all. His focus was entirely on the predator in front of him. The quillhound snarled, its muscles coiled, ready to strike. But Liam didn't flinch. Instead, he crouched slightly, making himself appear smaller, less threatening. He extended a hand, palm open, toward the creature. Easy now, he said softly, his tone steady and unyielding. The room held its collective breath. The quillhound hesitated, its growl tapering off into a low rumble. Its quills, still raised, didn't launch. It sniffed the air cautiously, its glowing eyes narrowing. Is he trying to tame it? Yelixa asked, incredulous. That's suicide, Drexel hissed. But to everyone's shock, the quillhound lowered its head slightly, its stance relaxing. Liam reached out and gently touched the creature's snout. The classroom erupted into stunned silence. Professor Zalker's voice broke the quiet. Incredible, absolutely incredible. He looked between Liam and the quillhound, his astonishment evident. How are you doing this? Liam shrugged, still stroking the predator's snout. Earth's got plenty of predators. You learn to stand your ground and read them, or you don't last long. This guy's just scared and out of his element. The quillhound huffed, seemingly placated, and sat back on its haunches. The drones powered down, though they hovered nearby, ready to intervene if necessary. The students stared at Liam as if he had just sprouted a second head. To them, this was an impossibility, a feat no sane being would attempt, let alone succeed at. But Liam? He made it look easy. He glanced back at the professor and grinned. So, what's next on the syllabus? The stunned silence in the classroom lingered long after Liam had calmed the quillhound. His classmates exchanged looks of disbelief, their varied faces frozen in expressions of shock. Even Professor Zalker, usually unflappable, seemed momentarily at a loss for words. The predator sat quietly beside Liam now, its quills no longer bristling, its glowing eyes scanning the room with a subdued curiosity. Remarkable, Zalker finally managed, his voice filled with a mix of awe and confusion. I've studied Crodaxian quillhounds for decades, yet I've never witnessed such behavior. Mr. Carter, your actions are unprecedented. Liam gave a casual shrug, his hand still resting on the quillhound's snout. It's not that complicated. You just have to show them you're not a threat. Most predators respect confidence over aggression. The professor raised an appendage, his gaze scrutinizing Liam. Confidence, perhaps. Or recklessness. Tell me, Mr. Carter, did you consider the risks? Not really. Liam's grin widened, his tone teasing. But it worked, didn't it? Before Zalker could respond, a chime echoed through the classroom, signaling an incoming message. The professor checked his holopad, his expression darkening as he read the notification. This is unexpected. He straightened, his tone suddenly grave. The quillhound's containment field wasn't the only thing affected. We've just received a warning. There's been a breach in the xenobiology lab. Other specimens may have escaped. The room erupted into chaos. Students shouted in panic, their voices overlapping in a cacophony of fear and confusion. Liam, however, stayed calm, his gaze narrowing as he focused on the professor. What kind of specimens are we talking about? He asked, his voice cutting through the noise. Highly dangerous ones, Zalker replied, his 8 eyes darting nervously. Chrodaxian arachnids, Valnorian wasps, and… He hesitated, as though reluctant to say the final name. A Gravaxian mawbeast. The mention of the mawbeast sent a visible ripple of fear through the room. Several students instinctively backed toward the exits, their faces pale, or the alien equivalent of pale. Okay, that sounds bad, Liam admitted, standing up. The quillhound stayed at his side, its yellow eyes gleaming with a strange kind of loyalty. What's the plan? The plan, Zalker said firmly, is for everyone to remain here while I coordinate with security. Do not leave this room under any circumstances. Great plan, Professor, Liam replied dryly. But if those things are on the loose, they won't stay in the lab. What happens if they come here? As if on cue, a guttural roar echoed through the facility. The sound was deep and resonant, a terrifying reminder of what the Gravaxian mawbeast was capable of. It was followed by the unmistakable sound of metal tearing. Something, somewhere, was breaking through containment. Drexel's antennae trembled. We're going to die. We're all going to die. Not helping, Bug Boy, Liam snapped, his tone sharper now. He turned to Zalker. Look, you keep everyone here. I'll check out the lab and see if I can slow these things down. You'll do no such thing, Zalker barked. This is a matter for trained security personnel, not students. With all due respect, your security drones couldn't stop the quillhound from jumping into the class. I'm not betting my life on them handling a mawbeast. Ulixa stepped forward, her crystalline body refracting nervous flickers of light. Are all humans this insane? You can't possibly think you'll survive out there alone. I'm not going alone, Liam said, glancing at the quillhound. The predator let out a low growl, as if sensing it had just been volunteered. This guy's coming with me. Now I know you've lost your mind, Drexel muttered, but Liam ignored him. Professor, lock the doors behind me, Liam said as he moved toward the exit. I'll do what I can to keep the nasties away from this part of the building. Zalker hesitated, clearly torn. Finally, he gave a reluctant nod. Very well. But if you encounter the mawbeasts, do not engage. Retreat immediately. Liam gave him a thumbs up that did little to reassure anyone. Got it. Don't die. Good advice. With the quillhound trotting beside him, Liam stepped into the hallway. The doors sealed shut behind him with a heavy clang, leaving the classroom in uneasy silence. The corridors were eerily quiet, save for the faint hum of the facility's ventilation system. Liam kept his steps light, his eyes scanning for movement. The quillhound stayed close, its ears twitching at every sound. As they approached the xenobiology lab, the signs of destruction became more apparent. Deep gouges marred the walls, and chunks of metal littered the floor. One of the security drones lay in a crumpled heap, its casing torn apart like paper. Looks like something big came through here, Liam muttered. The quillhound let out a low growl, its quills rising slightly. Yeah, I got the memo. Stay sharp. He reached the entrance to the lab and peeked inside. The room was a disaster zone. Broken containment pods were scattered everywhere, their contents ominously absent. He spotted movement near the far wall, a shadowy figure, low to the ground, slinking toward an open vent. Chrodaxian arachnoid, Liam whispered, recognizing the spider-like predator immediately. Its segmented body shimmered under the lab's dim lights, and its razor-sharp legs clicked against the floor as it moved. Okay, one problem at a time. The arachnoid froze, its multiple eyes locking onto Liam. It let out a shrill, chittering screech and charged. Liam barely had time to react before the quillhound lunged, meeting the arachnoid head-on. The two predators collided in a flurry of snarls and clashing limbs, their ferocity shaking the floor. Liam grabbed a broken containment rod from the debris and rushed forward. The arachnoid was fast, its movements almost too quick to follow, but the quillhound held its ground, snapping at its opponent with jaws that gleamed with venom. Liam seized the moment, driving the rod into the arachnoid's thorax with a grunt of effort. The creature screeched again, its movements growing frantic before it finally collapsed. Panting, Liam leaned against the wall, watching as the quillhound shook itself off and trotted back to his side. "Good boy," he said, patting its head. "Guess you're not so bad to have around." Before he could catch his breath, another roar echoed through the facility, louder and closer this time. The quillhound growled, its eyes narrowing. "That's the maw beast," Liam said grimly. He tightened his grip on the rod. "Guess we're not done yet." The roar that echoed through the corridors shook the walls, a deep, guttural sound that felt like it came from the very bones of the facility. Liam tensed, his knuckles whitening as he gripped the improvised weapon. Beside him, the quillhound growled low and steady, its glowing eyes fixed on the hallway ahead. Whatever was coming, it was massive. The quiet that followed the roar was worse. The silence stretched, broken only by the faint, irregular dripping of some unknown fluid onto the metallic floor. Liam's instincts screamed at him to move, to run, to do something, but he held his ground. The predator at his side mirrored his resolve, its quills bristling like a deadly warning. Then it appeared. The maw beast emerged from the shadows, its enormous bulk barely fitting within the corridor. It was a horrifying sight, 6 legs as thick as tree trunks, a body rippling with muscle, and a massive head that seemed more maw than beast. Its mouth stretched impossibly wide, filled with rows of serrated teeth that glistened in the dim light. Its eyes, dark and malevolent, locked onto Liam and the quillhound with the predator's focus. Liam exhaled slowly, forcing himself to stay calm. "Well," he muttered under his breath, "this day keeps getting better." The maw beast growled, a sound so deep it vibrated in Liam's chest. Its massive claws scraped against the floor, leaving deep gouges as it advanced. The quillhound stepped forward, snarling in response, its quills rattling like an ominous warning. Liam placed a hand on the quillhound's back, steadying it. "Easy, buddy," he murmured. "Let's not get eaten today, okay?" The maw beast lunged without warning, moving with shocking speed for something so large. Liam barely had time to dive to the side, rolling as the beast's claws swiped through the space he had just occupied. The quillhound darted away as well, its agility keeping it out of the monster's reach. "Okay, big guy," Liam said, scrambling to his feet. "You want to play rough? Let's play rough." The maw beast roared again, its frustration evident. It turned toward Liam, ignoring the quillhound for the moment. Liam realized he had become its primary target, a thought that was both terrifying and oddly flattering. He scanned the corridor, looking for anything he could use to his advantage. The area was littered with debris, broken containment pods, shattered drones, and loose wiring sparking faintly. His gaze landed on an exposed power conduit along the wall, a thick cable buzzing faintly with electricity. "That might work," he muttered. The maw beast charged again, its massive form barreling down the hallway like a freight train. Liam sprinted toward the power conduit, the quillhound following close behind. He reached it just as the beast closed in, its claws swiping dangerously close. Grabbing the exposed cable, Liam yanked with all his strength. The cable came free in a shower of sparks, writhing in his hands like a live snake. "Come on, you ugly brute!" he shouted, waving the cable in the air. The maw beast hesitated for a fraction of a second, its dark eyes narrowing as it sized up this unexpected threat. Then it lunged. Liam sidestepped at the last possible moment, whipping the live cable toward the maw beast's face. The cable struck true, sending a burst of electricity arcing across the creature's massive head. The beast roared in pain, its momentum carrying it into the wall. The impact shook the corridor, and for a moment, it seemed like the beast might retreat. But it didn't. Instead, the maw beast turned back toward Liam, its eyes blazing with fury. The electric shock had only enraged it further. "Of course that didn't work," Liam muttered, tossing the now useless cable aside. He backed away slowly, his mind racing. The quillhound growled at his side, its stance low and ready to attack. The maw beast lunged again, but this time, the quillhound struck first. It leaped onto the beast's back, its jaws clamping down on the thick hide at the base of the creature's neck. The maw beast thrashed wildly, trying to shake the smaller predator off. Its massive claws scraped against the walls and floor, sending sparks and debris flying. "Hang on, buddy!" Liam shouted, looking around desperately for something, anything, that could turn the tide. His eyes landed on a cluster of containment pods stacked precariously on a platform above the corridor. An idea sparked. Liam sprinted toward a control panel near the pods, dodging the mawbeast's swipes as he went. The quillhound continued to distract the beast, biting and clawing at its back with relentless ferocity. Reaching the panel, Liam punched in a series of commands, praying the ancient system still worked. The platform shuddered, and the pods began to move, their locking mechanisms disengaging. With a final press of a button, Liam sent the pods crashing down onto the mawbeast. The massive containers struck the beast with a deafening crash, pinning it to the ground. The creature roared in fury, its legs thrashing as it tried to free itself. "Gotcha," Liam said, breathing hard. The quillhound jumped clear just as the pods hit, landing gracefully beside Liam. The mawbeast continued to struggle, but its movements were slowing, its strength waning. The combined weight of the pods was too much, even for a creature of its size. Liam approached cautiously, his makeshift weapon at the ready. The mawbeast's dark eyes glared at him, filled with hatred and defiance. For a moment, Liam almost felt sorry for the creature. It was just doing what it was built to do: hunt, kill, survive. But sympathy wouldn't save anyone else if it escaped. "Stay down," he muttered. A low growl from behind made him freeze. He turned slowly to see another predator, a Volnorian wasp, its translucent wings vibrating as it hovered menacingly in the air. Its stinger, as long as Liam's arm, gleamed with venom. "Because one wasn't enough," he muttered, gripping his weapon tighter. The quillhound snarled, positioning itself between Liam and the wasp. The tension was palpable, the air thick with the promise of violence. Liam's heart pounded as he prepared for the next fight. "Round 2, he said under his breath, a grim smile tugging at his lips. The wasp's wings beat faster, a shrill hum filling the corridor as it prepared to strike. Liam gritted his teeth, every muscle in his body coiled like a spring. The quillhound snarled low, its quills rattling in sharp bursts, the sound like the cocking of a dozen loaded weapons. "All right, pal," Liam muttered to his makeshift companion. "We've come this far. Let's finish it." The Volnorian wasp darted forward, its movements erratic and unnervingly fast. Liam dove to the side as the creature's venomous stinger punched into the floor where he had just been standing, leaving a smoking crater. The quillhound launched itself into the air, snapping at the wasp with its powerful jaws. The wasp twisted mid-flight, narrowly avoiding the strike, and countered with a vicious swipe of its barbed legs. The quillhound yelped as the barbs scraped its flank, drawing thin lines of glowing blood. "Hey! Over here, bug brain!" Liam shouted, hurling a chunk of debris at the wasp. The projectile bounced harmlessly off its carapace, but it had the desired effect. The wasp turned toward him, its multifaceted eyes gleaming with predatory intent. It buzzed closer, its stinger dripping with venom. Liam's mind raced. He couldn't match the wasp's speed or strength, and the quillhound, though brave, was outmatched in the air. He needed a plan, and fast. His eyes darted around the corridor, searching for anything he could use. The broken containment pods. The sparking wires. The exposed power conduit. A crazy idea began to form. "All right, Liam," he muttered to himself. "Time to see if you can science your way out of this." He sprinted toward the sparking power conduit, dodging another lunge from the wasp. The quillhound leaped back into action, snapping at the creature's wings to keep it distracted. Liam grabbed a length of exposed wiring, wincing as the faint charge sent a tingle through his fingers. He dragged the wire toward one of the broken containment pods, gritting his teeth as sparks flew around him. "Hey, big bug!" he called, yanking the wire to create an arc of electricity between the pod and the wall. "Come and get me!" The wasp hesitated, its wings beating slower as it studied him. For a moment, Liam thought it wouldn't take the bait. But then, with a high-pitched screech, it lunged. At the last second, Liam rolled away, pulling the wire with him. The wasp collided with the sparking pod, and the resulting surge of electricity lit up the corridor like a supernova. The creature let out an ear-piercing shriek as its body convulsed, smoke pouring from its joints. It thrashed wildly, but the power surge held it in place, the arcs of energy tearing through its exoskeleton. Finally, with one last shudder, the wasp collapsed to the ground, its body charred and lifeless. Liam slumped against the wall, panting. "That's what you get for messing with a Deathworlder," he muttered, his voice tinged with exhaustion. The quillhound padded over to him, its wounded flank glowing faintly. It nudged his arm with its snout, letting out a soft, almost concerned growl. "Yeah, I'm okay, buddy," Liam said, giving the predator a tired smile. "Thanks for having my back." But there was no time to rest. The maw-beast, pinned beneath the fallen pods, let out a low, rumbling growl. It was still alive, and still very dangerous. Liam pushed himself to his feet, his mind racing again. The power surge had taken care of the wasp, but he needs something bigger to finish off the maw-beast. Something final. He glanced at the quillhound, an idea sparking in his mind. "You still got some fight in you?" he asked. The predator tilted its head, its quills rattling in response. "Good," Liam said, nodding toward the maw-beast. "I've got a plan. It's risky, but if it works, we'll both walk out of here alive. Ready?" The quillhound let out a fierce bark, its yellow eyes blazing with determination. Liam moved quickly, gathering what he needed from the wreckage: more exposed wiring, fragments of the containment pods, and a small, still functional plasma cell. He worked feverishly, rigging the pieces together into a makeshift explosive. It wasn't pretty, but it didn't have to be. It just had to work. As he finished, the maw-beast let out a deafening roar, its massive claws scraping against the floor as it tried to free itself. The pods holding it down were beginning to shift. Time was running out. "All right, big guy," Liam said, hoisting the improvised explosive. "Let's end this." He approached cautiously, staying just out of the maw-beast's reach. The creature snapped its enormous jaws at him, its dark eyes burning with hatred. Liam tossed the explosive toward its head, the device landing just beneath its massive jaw. The beast snarled, its movements becoming more frantic. "Now!" Liam shouted, signaling the quillhound. The predator leaped onto the pods, using its powerful jaws to snap one of the exposed wires. The resulting spark ignited the explosive, and Liam dove for cover as the corridor filled with a deafening boom. The shockwave knocked him off his feet, and for a moment, everything was chaos: dust, debris, and the acrid smell of burned metal. When the dust settled, the maw-beast was no more. Its massive body lay motionless beneath the rubble, its once terrifying form now a broken, lifeless husk. Liam coughed, brushing debris off his clothes as he staggered to his feet. The quillhound trotted over to him, its quills lowered and its movements steady despite its wounds. "We did it," Liam said, giving the predator a weary smile. "We actually did it." The sound of approaching footsteps caught his attention. He turned to see Professor Zalker and a squad of security personnel rushing down the corridor. Zalker's eyes widened as he took in the scene: the destroyed pods, the charred wasp, and the defeated maw-beast. "Mr. Carter," Zalker said, his voice a mix of shock and admiration. "I don't know whether to commend you or have you committed." "Let's go with commend," Liam said, leaning heavily against the quillhound. "It has a nicer ring to it." The quillhound let out a low, approving growl, and for the first time, Liam felt a strange sense of camaraderie with the creature. They had faced death together and come out alive. Whatever happened next, one thing was certain: no one in the galaxy would underestimate a human, or a Deathworlder, again.